Now my friend, I deceived me.
He wasn't running from the police. He wasn't armed. And he wasn't even the owner of the package. But within hours, he would be shot 4 times, by the very people he begged to help him. Sunday morning. A normal day in Delta State. 28-year-old Mena, also known as Oji Million, stepped out for something simple. Not a risky move. Not a dangerous mission. Just a favor. Pick up a package from a motor park, and leave. That was all he planned to do. But that short trip would never end. He arrived at the motor park like any other customer. Calm. Unaware. He walked up, asked for the package, and waited. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Until the attendant picked it up. It was small. But strangely, too heavy. That was the moment everything changed. The attendant paused. Looked at Mena. Then back at the package. Something didn't feel right. So he asked a simple question. What's inside? Mena answered honestly. I don't know. I was sent to pick it up. A simple explanation. But in that moment, it wasn't enough. The workers became suspicious. A small package. Unusual weight. Unknown contents. To them, that meant danger. They insisted it had to be opened. Mena hesitated. Not because he was hiding anything, but because it wasn't his. It didn't belong to him. Opening someone else's sealed package made no sense. But the decision was no longer his. They forced it open. And what they found inside changed everything instantly. A pistol. And 4 rounds of ammunition. The atmosphere shifted immediately. Voices rose. People gathered. Accusations filled the air. In seconds, Mena was no longer just a man picking up a package. He became a suspect. They tied his hands. Tied his legs. Forced him to the ground in front of everyone. And Mena started pleading. Not for escape. For understanding. I'm not the owner. I was sent. I can take you to the person. That was his offer. Not denial, not resistance. Cooperation. He told them where the sender was. He was ready to lead them there. Ready to help them find whoever owned the weapon. But no one listened. The police were called. And when they arrived, this should have been the moment everything slowed down. Procedure. Questions. Investigation. That's what should have happened. Instead, everything took a darker turn. The officer examined the weapon. Looked at Mena. Still tied. Still helpless. Still begging. Then without warning, he raised his rifle. And pulled the trigger. The bullet struck Mena in the shoulder. He screamed in pain. But he didn't die. Not yet. He was bleeding. But alive. Still speaking. Still insisting he could help. Still begging them to take him to the real person behind the package. But something had already changed. They carried him into the patrol vehicle. No first aid. No urgency to save him. Just silence and blood. Whatever decision had been made, it wasn't about finding the truth anymore. At the police station, there was still time to do things properly. Report the situation. Ask questions. Follow the law. But that didn't happen. Instead, 3 more gunshots rang out. And this time, Mena didn't survive. 4 bullets. No trial. No investigation. No chance to prove anything. A young man who left home for a simple errand was now dead. Not because he was found guilty, but because no one waited to find out the truth. Then something unexpected happened. A senior officer heard the gunshots, rushed out to see what was going on, and immediately realized something was wrong. Orders were given instantly. The officer responsible was disarmed, handcuffed, detained on the spot. For a moment, it looked like accountability might actually happen. But questions began to grow. Why shoot a man who was cooperating? Why ignore the information he was willing to provide? Why not follow the lead he offered? And what about the others who were there? The ones who watched it happen? The ones who helped move him? The ones who said nothing? Were they not involved too? For many people, this story felt painfully familiar. Another life lost. Another situation where power was used without restraint. Another moment that raises the same question. Will justice actually be served? Mena didn't run. He didn't fight. He didn't hide. He tried to help. And still, he was killed. Now, all eyes are on what happens next. Because the truth behind that package, and the decisions made that day, may be deeper than they appear. Stay with this story, because as more details come out, you'll want to know what really happened.
Because bro, si t'es simple, à mon carré, I don't know anything concerned.